Little Susan, an Austrian girl, sat on the old splintered bench. Its faded green paint was chipped and peeling, much like her own heart felt. 10 years old, with long blonde hair and light green eyes, she should have been skipping through life. Instead, she felt heavy, weighed down by secrets she couldn't share. As soon as no one was looking, she slipped away, feet carrying her to the sanctuary of the woods. The trees were her friends. Their branches, reaching towards the sky, seemed to understand her unspoken pain. Here, surrounded by wildflowers, fields, she could found peace. By listening to the chirping of birds, she could almost forget the turmoil that awaited her back home. She would run, her little legs carrying her faster and faster, until her lungs burned and her cheeks were flushed. For a little while she could outrun the sadness. Home. The word itself felt more like a threat than a comfort. The small apartment, dimly lit and cluttered, held no warmth. Her father, a large man, an alcoholic with a booming voice, was quick to anger. His hand, rough and calloused, would lash out at the slightest provocation, leaving stinging welts on her skin. The girl, with her long blonde hair and light green eyes, had learned to flinch at his every move, her small body bracing for the impact. Sometimes the fear would overwhelm her, and she would scream, a piercing cry that echoed through the apartment. Her mother, with her tired eyes and defeated posture, offered no solace. Lost in her own world of worries, she seemed blind to the girl's pain. Or perhaps the girl often thought she simply chose not to see. Either way, the girl was alone in her suffering, a tiny bird trapped in a cage of indifference. School wasn't much better. The other children, with their carefree laughter and easy friendships, seemed to belong to a different species. They whispered about her behind cupped hands, their eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. The Austrian girl, Susan, with long blonde hair and light green eyes, was an outsider, ostracized for reasons she couldn't quite comprehend. The bullying was subtle but relentless. A tripped foot in the hallway, her books accidentally knocked to the ground. Cruel nicknames hissed under their breath. Their words were like tiny darts, each one finding its mark and leaving behind a sting that lingered long after the school bell had rung. The only time Susan, with long blonde hair and light green eyes, felt truly free was during her hip-hop dance classes. The community center, tucked away on a quiet street corner, became her sanctuary. As the music pulsed through the room, her body responded with an instinctive grace. Every step, every spin, every beat was a release, a way to express the emotions that she couldn't articulate. The other dancers, a diverse group of ages and backgrounds, welcomed her with open arms. Here, there were no judgments, no expectations, just the shared language of movement and the unspoken understanding that sometimes words weren't necessary. In the dance studio, the Australian girl was no longer the scared, lonely girl. Susan was strong, she was powerful, she was free. Susan stumbled upon a small ranch nestled on the outskirts of town. Intrigued by the sight of horses grazing in the paddock, she cautiously approached the fence. A kind-faced old lady, her silver hair pulled back in a loose bun, smiled warmly at her. The old lady, whose name was Mrs. Valentine, welcomed the girl with open arms. She introduced her to the horses, teaching her how to groom their silky coats and speak to them in soft, soothing tones. Susan especially loved a gentle mare named Luna, whose coat was a patchwork of white and brown. As the weeks turned into months, Susan's visits to the ranch became her lifeline. Mrs. Valentine, with her quiet wisdom and gentle demeanor, offered a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. For the first time in her life, Susan felt truly seen and heard. She confided in Mrs. Valentine about the darkness that shrouded her life, the fear that lived within her, and the pain that felt unbearable. Mrs. Valentine listened without judgment, her eyes filled with compassion. She offered words of comfort and encouragement, reminding Susan L. that she was not alone, and that her situation was not her fault. She helped Susan to understand the complexities of her home life, explaining that her father's anger stemmed from his own unresolved pain, and that her mother's silence was a form of self-preservation. One sunny afternoon, while riding Luna, Susan shared her dream of becoming a social worker. She wanted to help children like herself, children who were trapped in cycles of abuse and neglect. She wanted to be the beacon of hope that she so desperately craved. Mrs. Gruber listened intently, her eyes twinkling with pride. She encouraged the girl to pursue her dreams, reminding her that even small acts of kindness could make a world of difference. She told the girl stories of her own life, of the challenges she had overcome and the people she had helped along the way. As the Austrian girl with long blonde hair and light green eyes hugged Mrs. Valentine goodbye, her heart felt lighter than it had in a long time. The warmth of the old lady's embrace, the scent of hay and horses, the gentle nuzzle of Luna's nose against her cheek, these were the things that gave her strength. These were the things that reminded her that even amidst the darkness, there was always hope. She knew that her journey was far from over. There would still be challenges to face, obstacles to overcome. But now, she had a glimmer of hope to guide her, a dream to strive for, and the unwavering support of a true friend. Child abuse thrives in silence. It festers in the shadows hidden from view. But by speaking out, by sharing our stories, by offering support to those in need, we can help to break the cycle of abuse. No child should have to endure the pain and suffering that Susan experienced. Let us all strive to create a world where every child feels safe, loved, and valued.